and probably we would say it's nichale, even though you'd be like, I could figure out without it. But at the end of the day, the fact that the light is on does help. Um, but if you have, I would say that if there was a non-Jew that was available to help, and all of Shabbos lunch is in there, then I would say that's probably a tzarech gadol. I mean, like you don't have lunch, it's so you could ask a non-Jewish neighbor, friend, worker, or whatever, who's available to help you in that situation, and say, and not to say to them, I need you to I just can you help me take out the food for lunch? They're going to open the refrigerator door, but their intention is to get the food out, and secret on the rabbanon when they're asking a non to do it already is probably a shvus b'makom mitzvah sudas Shabbos, something like that. So I would say that would be the preferable route. You could maybe make the case that just trying to think here for a second. I was out loud. I'm just really thinking out loud. Hello, Simeon. Could you do it with a shinoi because of a shvus to shvus? I would say better with a non-Jew if that's available. But maybe even because of the type of bulbs that we're dealing with here, maybe if it was done with a shinoi, if it was really a need, like not just I want to get a glass of orange juice. People can live without that, but if that's really lunch is in the refrigerator right now, and it's not going to be so simple to have a fitting suit of Shabbos. So then I think there are grounds to be lenient in that situation.
What kind of refrigerator do you have?
Sub-Zero.
I don't know. I mean, look into it. If there's a device, I have a device on mine, plugs into the data port. It's a GE, and that device turns it to automatically Shabbos mode, then turns it off after Shabbos, and it's got all the schedules in there, the holidays.
So it's set from beforehand.
It's got a 40-year calendar, so I figured 40.
Is this automatically set?
Automatically does it.
You don't have to set it up.
Wow.
Just tell it where my location is. It's plugged into the data port.
Unbelievable.
And before Shabbos, it's a simple
So you can
GE.
set- you can
It's
set
not
up-
an expensive GE.
You can set up other items. You don't have to.
No, this is programmed for that refrigerator.
Oh, really?
Wow.
About 10 years ago, we needed a second refrigerator. Our second refrigerator, after like 40 years, had it, And we went to Sears and I found a refrigerator there for $450. Why was it so cheap? Because it didn't have any lights inside of it.
Oh, you're like, perfect. I'll take it.
No problem.
That's great.
With a flashlight.
All right, very good. That's great. A good way to go into this. All right, so let's begin by I'm not sure what happened to Simeon. He seems to have dropped off the Zoom here. Hopefully he gets back on. Oh, there he is. Okay, so we begin Reish Ayin Zayin today. The topic is Ligrom Kiboy Haner, not to cause the extinguishing of a flame. So I just gonna give a little background here because I was reflecting with
I'll be fine with that.
I'm Morgan, so I was reflecting.
Okay.
1 second. Hi, Simeon. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Rav.
So Reish Ayin Zayin is all starts with a Gemara that's Masechet Shabbos, and there are various explanations to this Gemara, and as the Aruch HaShulchan towards the end of his whole introduction says, Uladina Kola Perushim MS, all the explanations are true. They're just arguing about what the case of the Gemara is, but at the end of the day, they're all individually correct about their case. How they explain it, as long as the logic adds up, which it does, and each explanation is correct. The only argument about what was the case of the Gemara exactly about Ladina lo nechlaku. They're not arguing about halacha.
There's something else going on here.
I don't know if you can't hear me or something like that, but okay. Can you not hear me, Simeon?
Yes, with difficulty, but go ahead, Rav.
Okay. All right. I can hear you loud and clear, by the way. So just giving you that. I'm just giving you that feedback in case it's helpful to know that we're not having an issue, I think, on our end today. Okay. So the Gemara says, and you don't have this in front of you, so I'm just giving you the background of the Gemara. Tanya, there's a brisa that says Ner Shachoy Hadelas Posech V'Noah Kedarko V'Im Kavsa Kavsa. The brisa says that if there's a candle on the other side of the door, then you can open and close the door as usual. And if the light goes out, the light goes out. But the Gemara then there's a pushback in the Gemara against this brisa. Umaskina, at the end of the day, the Gemara comes out the Eino Kain that we don't follow this brisa. The brisa is incorrect. Why? Psik Resha. Because it's a Psik Resha. That's the conclusion of the Gemara, that we don't do this. There's a light. I'm going to imagine I'm opening the door. Right behind my door. Oh, actually, this is a source of argument. What does Acharei Hadelas mean? Does it mean it's literally on the other side of the door? Does it mean it's on the wall and I open the door and I slam the door into the wall, because they probably didn't have too many door stops like we have today, and the door hits the wall? There's a candle over there, or is there a candle right? When I open the door, let's say I'm the door and Shlomo is where the candle is. I open the door, the wind comes in, blows the candle out. By the way, literally all the Rishonim take the different positions on what does the Gemara mean by Acharei Hadelas.
But because of the wind, you open the door.
That's one explanation. That's one explanation. One explanation of the Gemara is that it has to do with the wind that comes in. Some even say it's not the wind about what's coming in from the outside. Some say it's the wind of the door, meaning my opening of the door creating that wind, which is why some people are mechalek. They differentiate between opening the door regularly or opening the door very slowly, because you're not creating as much of that draft when you don't swing the door open. So this all comes from this Gemara, where at the end it says, no, you can't do this because it's a Psik Resha. Very important to remember that. Because the reason is Psik Resha, what we're saying is, a Psik Resha is that the thing that actually very fitting that Hinda asked about the refrigerator a moment ago, right? When I open the refrigerator door, 100% of the time, unless you heard the Biedenfeld house, in which case 0% of the time the light comes on, but otherwise, 100% of the time, the light will go on, unless you, of course, you detach the bulb, you put it onto a Shabbos mode setting. But unless you have one of those, you know that that's going to happen. It's a 100% guarantee. So I have a 100% guarantee, but no, that's not why I'm opening it. I'm opening the door. I'm opening a door because I want to access food. It's not because I want the light. The light happens to go on when I open the door to get the food. Right? Opening a door is a perfectly fine action in life. On Shabbos, A is okay, right? That's opening the door. B is the light turns on as a result. If B is an automatic result of doing A, right? Then I am not allowed to do A because that's a Psik Resha. Okay, that's the classic. The classic case of Psik Resha is literally you want to give a toy to your child, and so you take the chicken, you cut off its head, you say, "Here, happy birthday," right? Right. Right? If you didn't think that was going to happen, that the chicken was going to die, I'm not sure what that. Of course, Psik Resha, you cut off the head, right? Below Yamos, it won't die. I cut it off. I wanted the toy for my child, and of course it died. So that's not allowed. Generally speaking, there are. We'll get maybe a little bit into the topic of Psik Resha in this simon about whether it's nichale or lo nichale. Do I care that the chicken died, or do I not care that the chicken died? Maybe that makes a difference. Did a benefit accrue to me? Well, depends. If I take the chicken now and I shechted it properly, so now I also have the potential for a meal, right? Or did I, like, for example, if let's say, it's a funny case. I don't know why this is coming to my mind here. Let's say this, because this has happened. You had a child in the park who really needed to use the bathroom, okay, on Shabbos. So it's a funny case. I'm sorry I bring up a funny case. It does come up, I think, later in Shulchan Aruch. And the kid needs to use the potty, but there's no potty around. Can they urinate on the find some tree and you go somewhere? Technically, watering the grass on Shabbos is a problem, right? But what if first of all, they need to go. They're not doing this because they want to water the grass, but at the end, they also, some public park. It's not my grass. No benefit is accruing to me. So it's a Psik Resha, the lo nichale. I couldn't care less if it grows, it doesn't grow. Does it actually help? Does it not actually help? I don't actually know, right? Like, I'm not an expert, but like that case, that's you understand, like there's nichale, like there's a benefit that accrues, like in the light turning on the refrigerator, there is a benefit. Even if I could do without it. But at the end of the day, I see more clearly in the refrigerator. Right? Lo nichale is that I nothing actually happens for me that makes it all better. So we'll talk about that. Now, a lot of these things are what if on the way out, I close the door, the light goes out in the house. Now, maybe it'll be a problem later, by the way. Or by the way, if anything, it's actually no lo nichale. I actually want the light to stay on. The fact that it went off is bad for me. Yes.
No, but is it when you close the door when you're leaving the house, or you still?
So we're going to talk about that right now. Both ways.
Benefiting.
There might be a differentiation between going in and going out, and so we're going to talk about all this, right? So, I'm just going to read a little bit more about from the Aruch HaShulchan. I'm going to give some of the different perushim. Okay. Oh yeah, sorry, Simi, I didn't see your hand. Go ahead.
Rav, is it not so that the phrase Pesik Resha mandates a prohibition from the onset, lechatchila?
Psik Resha mandates a prohibition. Yes, absolutely. If something is a Psik Resha, we don't say it's okay. There may be, according to the Aruch, who's a commentary that you'll find very rarely quoted actually, but he was quoted in this one on the by Tosfos, is a Psik Resha de lo nichale, doesn't benefit me, right? That is mutter if it's a derabanan. So we'll talk about that as we go along here. But generally speaking, Psik Resha, no good. Yeah. Okay, good. So now, Ula Perish Rashi. This is again, you don't have this as you're following the Aruch HaShulchan. According to Rashi, Ula Perish Rashi, Kainhu Dahaner Munach Keneged Hadelas Mamish. His understanding of the case was that it's across from the door, the light, the candle. The door is on the west side of the house, and then the candle's on the east wall of the house. That is a small room. So it's not like a big palace here where it's on the other side. That's not going to be relevant. That candle doesn't get affected by the door. So the person standing outside, it's across from the door, right? So when you go in, it's going to be over there.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So when you open the door, the wind comes in. And because the wind comes into the house,
I'd like to
they
say
have to worry. Perhaps the wind will put out the light. Because it's close to the door, because of the room is tiny. And there, the problem is only when you open the door and not when you close the door. Doesn't matter whether when you open the door, you open it quickly, like the normal way you would open a door, right? Whether it's pulling this way or this way, I don't know which way the door opens. Or whether you open the door slowly. At the end of the day, if you're worried about the wind coming in and blowing it out, the wind is going to get in anyways.
No, but what if it's a pull door? Pull it. You pull it towards you.
Yeah, still, if I open it, the wind from the outside is going to come on in and it's going to blow it out.
But
So you're right, Yair. We're going to talk about in a moment. One of the Mefarshim thought it was the wind of the door, in which case the direction in which you open it does matter, right? 100%. But here we're talking about that the wind from the outside is coming to potentially. That's why it's Shema Yechabenu. Now here's the problem. What do you want to say? What's the problem? What's the problem with Rashi's explanation?
So the case that you spoke about earlier, that was 100%.
Yeah.
You turned the light.
Good.
Now we're sort of changing it to
Yes.
80%, 60%. Like, is there a percent where, meaning if it's 5%, can you do it? Like,
right.
Is there a
so the answer is if it's 99%, you can do it because that's called a davar she'ein miskaven. I have no intention for it, and it's not for sure going to happen. Then therefore, if it happens, even when I do it, no problem. So here it's very interesting because if the explanation of the Gemara is Psik Resha, Rashi's Perush doesn't exactly fit, right? Because Shema, the word Shema by itself already tells you lest, perhaps, this will happen. It doesn't say it will happen because not every day does the wind, blow hard enough that it will happen. right? Kevan she'isra ve'hu b'nei v'yaruch v'yishi b'chutz she'yikanes b'psichas hadelos. Okay. Even though a normal wind won't put out the candle, but because they're worried about a ruach she'ena mitzuya, goes there ruach mitzuya. Meaning, because of sometimes you get abnormal winds, like the storm the other week that created some brouhaha about people's sukkahs. So because of those kinds of winds, even though times are just not windy, you can't open the door if there's a candle on the other side of the door. By the way, what a game changer Shabbos wise! If you can't open certain doors in your house, or if you're going to open certain doors, I can't put candles near that door. Again, we don't think about that because we don't live in the world of candles anymore. Anywho,
What?
go ahead quickly.
What if, like, it could be like not like a different, like it's a little different. Like if your light is like a button, like you push it,
Yeah.
and it's like here, and like you swing the door open,
And it hits the door. The door hits the button. Yeah. So that's so. I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna look to the architect here. I'm sure when houses are built today, that they make sure that doors don't have that opportunity to swing open and hit where the outlets are. Right. I'm assuming.
I mean, generally you try to reach the switch when you walk in.
You want to have right. You don't want that door to be covering it.
Covering the switch.
Right. So I don't think that's how they design doors. But if it were, that would actually be a problem. You're absolutely right. That'd be a similar case.
We're talking here
Yeah,
about
Tommy.
outside doors, right? Because inside doors doesn't matter.
You're right. Correct. Yes. I believe that's correct. Yep. Go ahead, Simeon.
Rav, I'm sorry. I'm really confused here. You started this year offering two definitions for opening the door. Whether opening the door meant that the actual act of opening the door created the wind,
Right.
or when you open the door, the wind from the outside came in,
Right.
and goes under davar she'eino miskaven.
Right. So Rashi takes the second approach.
The question is, if we hold that opening the door because he wanted to come in to be with his family, Erev Shabbos, he returned from shul, then it was clearly a davar she'eino miskaven, and he should be good to go. But what are we going to do with the second definition, the possibility?
Yeah. So the second definition, that's the possibility, right, doesn't fit nicely with the psik ratio. That was what we were saying just a moment ago. In which case, maybe we're misunderstanding Rashi, right? Or maybe there's something missing there. So, in fact, to jump off of your question, so the Aruch HaShulchan mentions the Rush, Rabbeinu Asher. He has what to say about Rashi's explanation. He says by the way, I love the respect he has for Rashi. He doesn't say Rashi was wrong. Look what he says. He says, sorry, about the MS Gamba Rush. No, sorry, it wasn't the Rush. It was the Rivash. The Rivash in a tshuva writes, he says Rashi says it's Shapir Esh the Psik Reshahu Sharuach Mechaba. It's the Psik Resha that the wind is going to knock it out. The Lo Beruach Hanichnas Derech HaPesach. It's not about the wind that came through the door. He says rather Ela Kivein. What was Rashi meaning? Kivein LeRuach HaMehava BeNidnud Hadeles. It's the wind that's created by the movement of the door.
Right.
If the candle is right there, and you know that when you open it, kedarko, in a normal way, that will always create enough wind that it will blow out the candle. Or not if it doesn't blow it out, at least what does it do? It creates mechabe or mavir. It either either the flame gets bigger for a moment, or it goes dull, grows less bright for a moment. That's also usher. That's the psik ratio, says the Rivash, according his explanation of Rashi. And therefore, it's only a problem if I open the door, kedarko normally, but if I open it la'at, right? That's not creating that wind that from the door, right? Like I swing the door open.
So in that case, it could be an interior door or an exterior.
Correct. By the way, and Richie's right. Oh, could be an interior door at that point. If it's about the moment, then it's also a problem. Yes, 100%. So we have different explanations here. There's also Rabbeinu Hananel and the Rambam and the Ri. By the way, the Ri thought that what was the problem that the Ri thought it was actually on the other side of the door. So imagine you have a door on the other side of the door. Imagine almost a little cutout cabinet part. There's like a candle there, and so when I open the door or close the door, right, the candle's going for a ride, right? And he says that would be a big problem both ways, and it shouldn't make a difference. The opening, closing, that's going to be a problem. The Rabbeinu Hananel
hung on the back of the door.
Right, exactly. So Rabbeinu Hananel, that's probably more realistic. It was hung on the door. Rabbeinu Hananel says that where was the candle? If I swing the door open inwards, he says. So I open the door inwards, and then the door goes this way. Imagine there's a candle right behind along the wall, right behind where the delet, where the door, and it's going to bang into the wall. They didn't probably have door stops like a lot of us have. So you swing the door open, the door bam into the wall. It shakes the wall. You're right, how it would shake the wall. Again, it's not like our houses, right? A little shake, and that's enough to cause the oil in the lamp to stir a little bit. So that's also an impossible explanation of the Gemara. So my point is that there are many different explanations. The point is, as long as the logic, as our Hilchot says, the logic adds up, they're all right. Right? What was the Gemara's case? We can argue from today to tomorrow what was the case of the Gemara, but as long as the logic adds up, they're all right. So now, with that in mind, let's go down to the Shulchan Aruch. That little introduction. So the Shulchan Aruch now says in Sif Aleph, Ner shemunach achore hadeles, also liftoach hadeles kedarko. Important word added in by the Ramah there. Shema yichabenu haruach avalinol hadeles kenegdo muter v'hu adin b'chalon shekeneged haner she'al hashulchan. So if you have a candle that's placed on the other side of the door, and I think here we're talking about the candle that's sort of where Shlomo is, and I'm the door, right? I'm opening the door, whether I'm opening in or opening out, however the door swings open. It's prohibited to do this. Important word here. Ramah throws in kedarko in the normal manner, right? He's implying that la'at ma'at, a little, if the door opens a little at a time, that might be a different situation, right? But if it's open in a normal way, you can't do this. Shema yichabenu haruach, because perhaps the wind will blow it out. Now,
What is the all that can go means? How do you lock the door?
so about to close the door, right? Let's say you're leaving, you're going to shul. So I'm opening the door a little bit. When you leave, you open the door. You open the door a little bit, and you close the door behind you, right? So about linol hadelas kenegdo muter. There's a close the door.
So isn't that the same situation? If you open the door to go out, you still have the wind coming in. So you might force the cabin to, go down. So isn't that the same situation? So why when you enter it's not okay, but when you go out is okay? It's the same action. You open the door. So how do you explain that?
Yeah. There was this came up in the Aruch HaShulchan when I was reading yesterday.
So what I would think is that
Yeah.
if there's a draft on the candle and you close the door so that the candle can, so the light from the candle can go back to its normal strength. Like if there's like a draft on the candle's flickering.
Yeah.
So you go over to close the door to stop the flickering. You're actually adjusting the light of the candle by closing the door.
Right. You're
But
adjusting.
They say that's okay. That's mutter.
That right, because the candle is potentially going to go out. Right, I mean the act of closing the door is not problem. You're saying the act of closing the door is not a
They
problem
say that's
because
okay.
right,
They're saying that's okay.
right. That's because
Why?
all I'm doing right. The actually we're going to talk about this in a moment. So the wind is coming in. The wind is coming in.
And the candle's flickering.
The candle is now flickering. So maybe there's a problem to open the door. No one is saying, by the way, Ner shemunach achori hadelas asu liftoach hadelas. So by the way, it's not just if you are coming into the house. It's also if you're leaving the house. The act of opening the door is problematic, right? Doesn't matter coming in or out. Okay. Now, what about the closing the door? Okay, now the door is open. I don't know how it got open. Maybe I made a mistake. I didn't realize it first. Now can I close it?
Windy. Now it's windy.
Right. Or let's say I came in and ooh, there's a candle here. I forgot. Oops. I opened the door. Nothing I can do. I didn't know. I forgot. Whatever it is. Can I close the door? Richie's right. The wind is now blowing in, and it is flickering. The candle is flickering. It's threatening the candle. Can I slam the door shut and thus bring the candle to a rest? Meaning it stops flickering? Prevent
it from being extinguished.
Right? Preventing it from being extinguished? Or is that mavir? Is there something wrong happening there? When I close the door, do I do something wrong vis-a-vis the candle? When I open the door, no matter coming in or out, the answer is yes. Perhaps. Because Shema Yichabenu, Aruach. Because perhaps the wind is coming in and it's doing kibui. By the way, even if it doesn't put the whole candle out, it's still kibui. Right? The fact that a candle goes from a nice flame to like a flickering, struggling flame is also a type of kibui. I lower the flame. That is kibui.
Yeah, but
so
if you have, say there's no problem with doors, there's a flickering candle, you're not allowed to adjust it. You're not allowed to adjust the candle on Shabbos.
So this is a fascinating question now, because this is what's called gram kibui. Okay, it is not a direct, like when I close the door, it is not me directly affecting the candle. I'm affecting the thing that's affecting the candle, meaning the wind, the airflow. So is that different than acting directly biyadayim on the object, on this case the candle? So
No.
okay, so Shlomo, now do you understand the difference? Opening in or out, that's definitely a problem. The question is the act of the closing of the door separate from the opening. I can't open, and if I'm going to shul, it's also the same problem, right? If there's a candle by there, I need to use the back door, because I shouldn't have put the candle by the front door.
If you're afraid the candle's going to go out because the door is open, and you close the door, and now the candle
Stays,
right?
yes.
That's psik ratio.
But what did I?
You're definitely.
So let's keep going. Let's keep reading. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that in a moment. And I want to.
That's right, Rav. You're casting aside the notion of the Pesik ratio.
So let's keep going. I want to read a little bit more, and then I want to deal with the point that you and Richie are making, because the Mishnah Berurah is going to disagree. He's getting more lenient than you guys. Okay, let's take a look here. So the Ramah says, but to close the door would be mutter, and the same halacha goes for the window. If you open a window, let's say they didn't have air conditioning, in order to let the air flow in, so that there's cooler air coming in, maybe in the evening. On a Friday night meal, it was a hot summer day. You open the window, let the cool air in. If you have a candle near the window, the same halacha applies. Opening the window would be a problem. To close the window would not be a problem. But that's the same idea, right? So, okay. Now, so let's read Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet in the Mishnah Berurah, and then I want to pause on your question, that's Richie and Simeon, and I want to read also something in my extra notes here that I think will sort of allow the Shabbat doesn't.
Yoni?
Okay, Simeon, I'm back. I'm sorry if our connection is problematic. Okay, so even if there is no wind, as Jeffrey said, if there, it depends on the kind of wind. Perhaps that's possible to blow it out. It's possible that it could blow it out, right?
No, it's starting to work again by itself.
Abnormal. I open it slowly. The word kadarko doesn't actually fit there, right? It doesn't matter if you're talking about the outside wind. It doesn't matter how you open the door. At the end of the day, I open the door fast. I open the door slow. The wind is blowing. Sorry, Simeon, for the disconnect that we had. We're towards the end of Sifkot and Bays. Okay, and then even if the door opens slow, the wind is is blowing. Okay, at the end of the day, right? So they say more, by the way, as mashiv, right? Menashev, mashiv, like mashiv aruch. We just started saying mashiv aruch. The wind is going to blow the usr, and therefore it's problematic to open the door no matter what. V'chein sasmu kama achronim, and so conclude many of the achronim. And he says, "I'm Be'er Halacha." Says, go look in the Be'er Halacha for more on this topic. So let's look at the Be'er Halacha for a moment. Take a look at the Be'er Halacha Kedarko. Yeah, correct. If you want, there's a great guy on the other side of the page. Amazing. Go look at what he said. Yeah. So the first Be'er Halacha where it says Kedarko. He says, I'm a Mishnah Berurah, Mashik Asav B'Shem Magen Avram. He says, look what I wrote over there. And you'll see that Magen Avram says Tos Sofer. Ramah's added word is the scribal error. He never wrote it. Somehow it crept its way into the manuscript. Ramah didn't write that. V'nei after b'Tosefes Shabbos Matei Yehuda yishvu es kushers l'Magen Avram. Tosefes Shabbos Matei Yehuda, they say no. There's a way to explain the word kedarko. Most achronim agree with the Magen Avram that it's incorrect. It doesn't matter how you open the door, kedarko or slowly. And who is on the list of those who agree that the Magen Avram is correct? Now he gives you a whole slew of names: the Aliyah Rabbah, the Shulchan Aruch Shitim, the Chai Adam. There you go. So Hinda's on that side of the ledger too, right? The Graz, the Gami Divrei Hagra, seems like the Vilna Gaon also. Shiramaz L'Ayin Magen Avram, who hints in his comments. He goes, "Look at the Magen Avram on this." You don't send somebody to go look at something, if you don't think that's correct. Mashma, the Sfira Lake of say. Sounds like everyone holds like the Magen Avram. That doesn't make a sense. That Ramah's comment doesn't make sense. Here's a very nice kula, which probably doesn't affect anybody's lives anymore because we don't use candles. But he says, take a look. Besamuch, close by. If the wind, if it's a calm day, no wind,
About 4
then yesh lismoch lahakel kisheposeach benachas. Then therefore, there's what to rely upon and to be lenient when you open the door slowly. So if you open the door slowly and there's no wind outside, the Mishnah Berurah is lenient here. Okay, Tommy's got a question. I know, and I'm actually going to do something while Tommy's asking the question that's going to help me.
Actually affects us for Friday night.
How so?
With the candles, the Friday night candles.
Okay. Where are your candles?
Down here too.
One of the windows.
Depending where the candles are, if you open the front door or something, it can.
If the candles are close enough to the door that it really could put it out. If it's not close enough that it could put it out, then you don't have to worry. Meaning, or if the window you're talking, if the window is, you want to open the window to the dining room, and the candles are right there in the dining room, and the wind from the outside could blow them out, legitimately, then this is relevant.
What if it not? What if it just moves a little bit? Flicker. So is it? Are you making any changes to the oil addition or distracting away from the fire?
Yeah, it's potentially if but you would have to be moving either the oil piece or whatever the or is the wind affecting? It's flickering the light, and that's causing it to dim a little bit. Yeah, I mean that's also a problem. So the answer is yes. If it could legitimately affect the flame, then yes. How's the sound now, Simeon? Is it better?
It sounds a little better.
I disconnected from the Wi-Fi.
My son Yoni was very helpful. But at the end of this year, if you could give me about a moment or two, I'd like to
catch you up on the part you missed.
I'd like to try to resolve a couple of issues. Is that okay?
Oh yeah, sure. Technology, yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So, yes, that'd be a problem. So yes, that would maybe be the only thing today where that's the only candles that we really probably have burning in our homes. I don't know if my candles in our house are even close enough to the window in the room that it could possibly do something to it. You notice, by the way, when sometimes in your homes, your air conditioner, your fan kick on, but that goes on, it happens on its own. You're not causing it per se. So I knew this question was going to come today, right? I open the door in the winter, right? The cold air comes in. Eventually, that's going to create the heat to kick on earlier. Why is that mutter?
Yeah.
Right? Why is that mutter? Okay. So you might say that, by the way, that it's a davar she'eino miskaven, right? That particular opening of the door, and it's also not immediate. So I know that it's going to cool down the house, but I don't with certainty know that action by itself will kick on the heater. It will cause it to go for earlier, for sure, no question, than it would have otherwise. And that will relate to something we're about to talk about in a moment about grama, right? Where I didn't cause it right away, right?
Oh, it depends on how many people are coming in. I've had this issue where like 6 people are coming in.
The door stays open a lot longer.
Yeah, and the thermostat is about 6 feet from the door.
From the door. Right. Right. Interesting question to think through. All right, we're gonna have to think through it. I think there's an important comment here that's going to help us maybe start to think through what happens when there are things that I do that don't have consequences immediately. And I'm not mistaken. I think that this is going to get discussed in this simon as well. So we'll have to touch on that. At the end of the day, I'm not telling you don't go out on Shabbos between now and then, the time we get to it. But yes, we'll deal with that question. Okay, so now that we read Beis and we read the Be'er, let's go to Gimel. Sifkat on Gimel. Haruach. Chafetz Chaim. He wrote the Mishnah Berurah and the Be'er Halacha. That's when he wanted to give you more depth on the topic. That's where he started. He quotes a lot of Rishonim, Achronim. He gives you more more
Yeah,
details.
that's the first
So one
stop.
has the first time,
Right.
but there's also additional comments like Mishnah Berurah was also.
Mishnah Berurah and Chafetz and Ber Halacha were written both by the Chafetz Chaim and the Sharatzim. Made the whole page aside from the Shulchan Aruch. The Ber Heitev wasn't written by him either. So basically everything from the the Sharatzim is also that's where he cites his sources. Yeah. See, it's citing sources. It's a new thing. You have to. It's a halachic concept.
Well, Rambam never did.
That's why he got a lot of criticism, because like people couldn't find where did you get this from. That's right.
You see here automatically a whole shear. I know it.
Yeah.
Back.
Okay. Let's take a look at Gimel. Sifkat and Gimel Haruach. I'm a Magen Avram. Simin Taf Kuf Yudal Sifkat and Yud. Tafilu im ein Haruach Menashev Ata Gam Ken Yesh Lesor. But Magen Avram says even if the wind's not blowing right now, there's reasons to say it's prohibited. Remember, the Mishnah Berurah here was a little lenient on that question. We saw in the Ber Halacha, Paskin, that the wind is not blowing so much right now, right? Then,
ratio argument though.
Sure, because it's not a psik ratio. That depends on the wind, right?
Yeah.
If it's a wind that is definitely going to cause it, then that's a psik ratio in that moment, right? When the wind is blowing, right? Then it's for sure going to happen.
If the wind is fickle, sometimes it's blowing, sometimes it's not. It's definitely not psik ratio.
Yes, correct. You're right. That makes the explanation of psik ratio very difficult in this case. So, the wind is always blowing. It just depends how strong. And it's impossible at any moment to know. Maybe suddenly I open the door and at that moment there'll be a gust of wind. Right. So this part would be of psik ratio. This is now almost like zera. Because sometimes the wind blows. Even when it doesn't blow, don't open the door. Opening the door is not going to actually affect the candle this time. Because sometimes it'll affect the candle when you open the door on Shabbos. Therefore, no good. ויש מקילים בזה, בבניר דבלי במקום הדחק, יש להקה בזה כשפוסח הדלס בנחס לאט לאט, שליגר הדלס גופה לרוח שיבוא. He says, there are those who are lenient about this question, and he says, when you really, what are you going to stand outside the rest of the Shabbos? Can't get back in the house. What am I going to do? Sleep on the front lawn? So there's no way to get back in the house without dealing with this question, as long as the wind is not really blowing. Otherwise, I should probably wait until it's not blowing. Okay, when it's not blowing, I'll open the door slowly so that I don't add additional wind from the door blowing, from the door swinging, and then I'll go in calmly.
What if it doesn't stop blowing?
Then you sleep outside.
Yeah, then you sleep outside. Then you're in big trouble. I don't know what you're gonna do. Yeah, you can find a neighbor who was happy to take you in, who didn't put their candle right near the door. Okay.
Or just go in the other door.
Or you go in the other door. That's true.
There's no candle.
So I was just looking at one of my comments here. Okay. Now let's take a look at Daled. Very short comment, but an important one. This was the closing the door is mutter, which everyone is like, what? You're also doing something to the candle. The answer is you're not doing something to the candle. Mutter shebazeh eino oseh klum. You're doing nothing. Lo mechabe v'lo mavir. What did I do? I simply removed a thing that was acting on the candle.
No,
I didn't act on the candle. I prevented the air from coming in. The air was the one who was making the problems.
Unless you made a decision to leave the house, and then there's wind outside, then you cause an issue. Because your action of opening the door creates the wind coming in.
Well, for sure. The opening of the door is problematic. If I have a candle near the door, opening the door or opening a window is problematic. Unless the Mishnah Berurah has the kula that if it's not windy and you can open it, benachas, no problem. But closing the door, let's say there's a crazy windstorm and the door is open. The candle is flickering like crazy. It's on, it's hanging by a thread. And what do? I close the door. The Ramah says mutter. The Mishnah Berurah says you didn't do anything. Now the candle is nice and more steady. What happened?
The only issue
You
is
can't.
the house, and then isn't that the same as opening the door? Because you're leaving the house. and you know there's a wind outside.
But leaving the house, opening the door. Oh, so again, I'll clarify. Opening the door in either direction, going in or out, is a problem.
Just the closing.
The act of opening the door is a problem, perhaps. Closing the door is not a problem. But again, it's strange because the candle has now shifted in terms of what's going on with it. So how is that not mavir, right? It was nearly dying before the candle. And now, what happened? I closed the door, and now it's okay. So how is that? How is that mutter? Okay, I think that's how everyone's sort of grasping it out. Wait, how is that okay? How is closing the door okay? Yes, go ahead, Simeon.
Rob, I have difficulty with your conclusion. Let's suppose the door is open and the wind starts to blow and it's affecting the candles, and you see it's affecting the candles, and you immediately close the door and the candle goes back to its original height and at rest and everything is fine.
Yeah.
Aren't you being over on Mechabe?
So it wouldn't be Mechabe. If anything, the problem would be Mavir. Mechabe is when I extinguish the candle. Here, I've saved the candle. So if anything, the problem is here I've caused it to maybe increase. But here's the thing. I never acted on the candle, right? All I did was I closed the door and now prevented the wind from coming in. The wind before I closed the door, the wind was acting on that wind that had just come in right before I closed the door. That was causing the flame over here to flicker. I then shut the door. The wind no longer is coming in. So for a few seconds, for a second or so, the wind is still acting on the candle. Then the wind stopped acting on the candle because there is no wind. But I didn't cause there. All I did was I prevented the wind from blowing. I didn't cause the flame to go back up directly. All I did was I was meisir. I was removing the thing in the room that was acting on the candle.
No. Why can't you argue that you prevented the Pesik ratio?
That I prevented the psik ratio.
Yes.
Explain what you mean by prevented the psik ratio.
Well,
I prevented
the door
the candle
opened
going
and
up.
the candle was suddenly flickering, and there's a very great chance that the wind will succeed in extinguishing the candle. So you immediately ran and closed the door gently, and the candle came at rest and was the way it was before the first opening of the door. So we learned a few moments ago about the Pesik ratio, about considering the absolute result of the candle being extinguished if the door was open, let's say in a windy time, or maybe even if the door itself created the wind. And now you are avoiding that. Is the avoidance, you defined the word kibui as affecting the extinguishment of the candle.
Yeah, the kibui is the extinguishing of the candle, right? I'm not, I'm not affecting the extinguishing part. If any case could be made against what I'm saying, it's that I caused the fire to go larger. But again, I didn't cause that. All I did was remove something from the room that, again, I was acting over here on the door, right? I closed the door. Now there's just this airflow is not coming in. So imagine why is the candle flickering? The candle is flickering because there's wind coming at it. Because this air is coming at it.
Right.
It's coming, and then suddenly it's not. It's not blowing anymore. So the candle acts like it normally would, which is to go back to its normal state.
You're actually avoiding mavir. You're actually preventing it because it will continue mavir. It will be like going up, going down, going up with the winds coming in.
Right.
You actually stop this action. And,
Right.
and keep Shabbat respect the Shabbat, because if you didn't do that, they will keep on doing this. Maybe it'll be also this big thing where actually you save something.
Right.
And that you could say.
What I'm really saying is like that it's what's called a grama. I did something indirectly that affected the thing, right? And I closed this door over here, and then the candle over there stopped flickering. Meaning the candle is no longer,
How is that indirectly? How is that indirectly? The candle starts flickering. I jump up from my chair and I gently close the door. How is that? And how is that even Eino Miskavein?
But the point is that it doesn't happen right away. Also, though, right? Maybe there's a little delay, right? The idea is that I act over here, and then this over there. There's no. My action was not mechabe the ner, and it wasn't mavir. I didn't kindle the flame. The fact that there was no more air flowing caused the flame to kindle, right? I didn't cause there to be a kindling. I prevented air from coming in. What happened as a result? Because that's how the candles work. The candle stopped flickering. The candle stopped flickering, but it's not because I'll say it's because I closed the door, but it's because the air is no longer flowing in.
Yeah.
The air, as opposed to if that's the most ridiculous thing, right? I go up to the candle and I blow on the candle itself. I'm blowing the air, right? It's me who's acting, on the candle, right? Or I take the candle, I see it struggling, and I tilt it to move the oil around so that it catches better, right? I'm acting on it. Here, the air that was coming in from the outside, the wind was acting on it. All I did was I shut the wind out from the situation. And now, as a result, something happened to the candle. But that's why the Mishnah Berurah here says it's mutter. You didn't do anything, right? Lino hadelas kinegdo. It's mutter because you didn't do anything. Lo mechabe velo ma'avir. Now, what's interesting, I know is that this takes time to wrap your head around this concept. Take a look at this. Oh, go ahead, Simi. Yeah. Then I want to look at my extra comments. Number 5.
Rav, I just want to tell you, if at the end of this course, for the final exam, you give this question and I answer it, Usur, I'm telling you right now, I want credit, full credit.
We'll make it worth extra credits. This is a hard one. This is a hard in terms of to wrap our mind around what exactly are we talking about here. Okay, so, and then I want to go back to probably comment number 4 also, but this is now comes a question, and we're going to see a leniency, and then we're going to see a bunch of people who are all on your side, all of you who are like, what's going on here? This doesn't make sense. So from this comment of the Mishnah Berurah, Mikan, this is number 5 for Tommy and Jeffrey. You can follow along. The others just listen. Mikan Lamed Hagaon Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, brilliant, post 20th century near Eretz Yisrael. Legabe Sha'on Shabbat, the Shabbos clocks. Hapoel al yedei lechitzas sikos. Okay. Now, what does the word sikot mean? I wanted to look this one up. Shoma, do you remember what sikot means?
Like pin.
Pins, right? Okay, good. It's like so good. It's a timer. I actually still use them. I'm sure you guys are still using them too. The pin timers. When you set the Shabbos timer with the pin. So that's like if you look at where our hot plate is. I'll show you. Okay. So you have a timer that has the pins.
Yeah.
And hamechavein me'erev Shabbos. It was set before Shabbos. Perfectly fine. You set the timer before Shabbos. Lahafsik ezram hachashmal b'shah mesuyemes. It's going to turn off the light at a certain point. It's going to close the circuit, basically, at a certain point. You set it to go off at 10 p.m., whatever it is. Shemuter l'shanoso, the Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach paskins, it's mutter to change this. Sheyafsik me'ukar yoser. You can pull the pin out and put the pin later on. You know what I'm talking about? Those like red and green pins. You take the pin out, the red pin, take the red pin and you stick it into a later slot. You know what? The guests are staying longer. I'm going to put it at midnight. Then you can take the pin out on Shabbos and switch it to a later time. Okay, now everyone's like looking at me like, what? Okay. Shema'acha she'eno ela marchik hadavar hamonea es meshach hazaram hachashmal. So all I'm doing is I'm distancing the thing that's going to cause the circuit to close. I'm just I'm causing it to happen later. I didn't do anything right now. The light's still on. Nothing changes. Only when it goes off is going to change. It's going to go later. Dome hadavar, the Shlomo Zalman Auerbach says it's similar. L'noel es hadeles bifnei haner. It's like the case of closing the door in front of the candle. Shelo techabuhu haruach, so that the wind won't blow out the candle. All I did is I took the Shabbos timer, which is going to turn out the light, and I said, Shabbos timer, you're not going to do your job. And all I'm doing is I did nothing. There's no mechaber, there's no mavir. What's causing the mechaber with the Shabbos clock? The Shabbos clock is going to do it.
No.
And
Why don't you say the Shabbos clock itself is muktzah?
No, it's the old ones with
it's the old ones. It's the pins. You know what I'm talking about?
I understand, but the clock itself, it's inside the clock. I'm very familiar with that. My
Right.
dad used to buy them for the community because that was his business.
Right, there you go. So,
Business. So why don't you saying that if I pick up the clock and Rav Moshe came out against the clock lechatchila?
right, correct. Rav Moshe thought at the beginning, then I think he came around a little bit. But at the beginning, he thought that the Shabbos timer in general, just setting it regularly, was a problem. He thought that was like asking a non-Jew to do something, and you can't do that, right? So, but what he's saying is here. Do you understand now how I'm explaining this situation? The wind. This is why Shlomo Zalman is extending it. He's saying if the wind, all I did with the candle was I prevented the wind from doing its job, from doing what it was trying to do, and now the candle is burning regularly. Right, and also, by the way, right, it's doma hadavar lenoel hadelos haner shelo tichabu aruch. I don't want the candle to go out. The candle's gonna go out later when all the oil finishes. Not right now. All I'm doing is I'm closing the door and I'm not letting the current, literally the current, right, the wind, to put out the candle. So too, if I take the pin and I put it later, all I'm doing is right now I don't want this thing to go out. So I'm going to take an action that prevents it from going out. But that's not called kibui. I didn't cause the flame to go out. And I'm not really kindling the flame. Right? Certainly in the case of the Shabbos timer, you definitely can't call that kindling. Nothing's happening. It's just staying on. Right? So this is the psak of Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, which I know is probably a shocker, but at the end of the day, he says Ulam huvash le'amasa. At the end of the day, Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, at the end, horeli himanami kach imlo l'tzorach gadol. He said, but don't do it unless it's a tzorach gadol. He's like, I'm not comfortable with it. He's like you guys, I'm not comfortable with this, right? But he was a big makil on this question. Everyone else didn't like this. Idach, meidach. Rav Moshe Feinstein in his Sheilas and Tshuvos, Rav Moshe Kostan Shenechshav Adavar Kemalacha Gemura. Simeon's are sitting back more comfortably now. Rav Moshe says that's a Malacha Gemura. What are you talking about? That's like doing the Malacha yourself, Oster. Okay. Rav Elyashiv he paskin Ubeir Shekiven Shehu Machshir Hamitochnan Lifolkach. I prepare the timer to do this as such. That's not called grama. I indirectly caused it. Ella kemasa bi'adayim. He says, like I did it with my hands, and therefore that you can't change. You're changing the timer. That's not okay. You're doing. That's a trick. You're doing it like with your hands. So he doesn't like it. Rav Nissim Karlitz also doesn't like it. Ein lechavein b'Shabbos as shown. You can't adjust the Shabbos timer. Mechashash shenechshav tikun kli. He says for a different reason. You're metaking the kli. You're fixing it. Now it's functioning better. However, I wanted it to function on Shabbos. So basically, everybody doesn't like this. Aside from again, Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, and even he hedged at the end. But But again, the whole idea is that it's a groma. It's not a direct cause, right? I'm setting, something into motion. In the case of not the Shabbos clock, even let's go back to the candle. All I'm doing is instead of the candle going out now with the wind, it's going to go out now. I prevented it from going. It'll go out later, right? So I'm not being mechabe now. It's mechabe. I'm pushing mechabe later, and it's not the readjustment of the flame that might happen is that's the candle did that on its own because the wind stopped blowing, right? Right. The wind blowing is the problem, right? All I'm doing is I'm removing a player from the situation. I know. We'll probably take a week to think about this and wrap our minds around it, and you'll still have problems with it next week.
So, somewhere there's a Con Ed station that's producing more electricity because of your action on Shabbos.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I mean, but then they produce the electricity. They're not producing it with me in mind, right? That's like, whether I'm trying to think what other situation like that's similar to, but they're not doing that for me. It's like being in a building, right? Like imagine if you were in a hotel and the whole question: can I use hot water in a hotel on Shabbos? Let's say it's not Israel, not a hotel where most people are Jewish. It's a 10-story hotel, tons of rooms, people are showering, turning on the water all the time. Me turning on the hot water is not changing the flow of the hot water into the boiler down there in the basement of the hotel. But that becomes an interesting question. Can I use the hot water in such a situation? Usually I can't turn on the hot water in my own house on Shabbos because but when I turn it on, it removes the hot water from the boiler. New cold water comes in and I'm boiling that water now. That's me boiling the water. Or even knowing that I've put that, I've allowed that water now. I have caused that water to come in. Anywho, so let's pause here. I'm gonna also go back and see if maybe the Aruch HaShulchan has a really good explanation of the closing the delet, even better than I was able to explain it. And then we'll start with that next week. We'll revisit that idea, and then we're going to talk about the Mishnah. The Shulchan Aruch goes on to talk about what about the cases about when the door is placed. When the candle is placed in different positions, not like across from the door. Stop. Not across from the door, but somewhere else where this becomes a problem for the wall shakes. This happens. Other problems can come up. Yeah, Jeffrey, go ahead.
So when you started talking about, with the case, meaning just like what I said before, right? The case where you open the fridge and it goes on. Now we're sort of, I think the Shema is really there. So is there a distinction if it's 5% versus 95%?
So no, I think.
At the end of the day, does that is there?
But I think that Rashi's explanation of the Gemara is that it was a psik ratio. It's clear to me that this is not,
By the way, the Chaim comments on that. If you look in the Bay or Halacha where it says Shema Yichabenu, right?
Yeah.
He actually says L'chaora Kasha. He says.
Where is this?
He's saying.
The next one. L'chaora Kasha the Ha'amrina Gemara the psik ratio. Right, lekach asa bazeh af she'eno mechavin lechabos. Ulam lefi masha perish masha marsha lo have psik ratio mamish rak karav lepsik ratio nicha halashon. But that's a very interesting category of. And there are a couple other examples. If you look at the comment number 12 on the whatever.
What is the point of the psik ratio?
Psik ratio means I know it's going to happen. I know something bad's going to happen, even though that's not my intention.
Adverse consequence of your
action. I was doing A. Whenever A happens, though, B happens. B is usher. A is mutter. B is the usher. But if A for sure if B is for sure going to happen, right? Let's put it this way. I do action A. As a result of action A, B happens. B is mutter. And that was what I was going for. C also automatically results, and that's usher. So that's a psik ratio.
Can you do like that is practical example of psik ratio?
When is there a psik ratio?
Yeah.
The example would be like the light in the refrigerator. That's a psik ratio. Opening a door. I'm doing A. A is opening a door. B is getting their food out. Opening a door to get the food. I'm allowed to open the refrigerator door to get food. That's not a problem. But since when I do A, I open a refrigerator door. C also results that the light kicks on. That wasn't my intention at all. I couldn't care. I honestly, I not care. I do care maybe, but like I opened the door because I wanted to get their food. I didn't open the door to open the light to turn on the lights. The light resulted as a result of the opening the door.
I'm curious at the end of the day, if there is a distinction at some point, like
Karov and not Karov.
Right,
or the percent or
It really shouldn't.
I don't know the answer.
There really shouldn't be a percentage, and we'll read comment number 12 next time.
Okay, and the
But,
second question
yeah.
I have is, so the Shabbat time basically says he doesn't agree. He thinks the problem of having the word kedarko, right? When you open the door the way you said, he says it's a mistake, right? I mean, if that's what you
Because if that's the explanation is about the wind from the outside, it shouldn't make a difference.
This thing is totally
that's why I
complicated.
understand. In Mishnah Brura Gimel, you read out loud. He says, "Literally, b'makom hadchak yesh lahakel bazeh k'shepotech hadelef b'nachas la'at la'at." He basically says, but you can be makil in an extraordinary circumstance when you
open it slowly, and there's no wind coming from the outside. Yeah,
but clearly he has that in mind. So I don't understand why he's saying, like I don't get like that.
Because there are some people who say kedarko. The Rush says kedarko in his parish.
Right.
So because of that, so you have what to rely. He's saying that you have who to rely upon.
But why does he think? Why does he think it's so off the? Like he's basically saying there's no way he could have said that because it makes because. But then he uses it as a rationale. Like he's sort of. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Like he basically says he could not have meant it because it doesn't make any distinction. And then later on he says, "Well, there is."
But he is exactly because there are those who do differentiate in other Rishonim who differentiate on the grounds of kedarko or
But that means it is an important.
Of course it is. Yeah.
Right. So it's just I just find it
Yes.
surprising.
Because they all were taking it about the wind. If you make this about the wind, then the word kedarko doesn't make sense. But maybe it does make sense. Maybe it's talking about, maybe the Ramak, for all we know. Maybe he was talking about, when talking about the wind of the door, right? That which was the explanation of the Rivash, right? That they was talking about the door with the wind of the door, not the wind from the outside.
Ryan's waiting for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Shkoyach, everybody. Way to go. Okay, Simeon, you wanted to...
Yes, just 1 second.
Oh, you want to put them? You want to keep? Where they?
No, I can put them back over there.
Oh, sure, yeah. You want to take them that way every week? You feel like you're the expert. There are more on the copy machine, but it's fine.
You can bring it next time.
Exactly, perfect. Sorry, go ahead, Simeon.
Yeah,
Just a moment.
Just 1 second.
We're working on it.
Just 1 second, Ralph, please.
No problem.
And I just want you to know, when that final comes around,